Everybody will tell you to play Mixolydian over dominant chords. I don't. That may have sounded Mixolydian, but I wasn't thinking about Mixolydian at all. I was using an approach I learned from my mentor and all-time fusion guitar hero, Greg Howe. Greg taught me think in sounds, not in scales. Today we'll talk about that. I'll teach you exactly that approach and how that works over dominant chords specifically, so you can start using it in your own improvisations. If you're new to fusion guitar, grab my free starter kit with my arpeggio guide and a 3-part video series on how to develop that essential fusion vocabulary. Now let's get into the lesson. There's a backing track for this lesson. It's a G7 thing. You see masses of guitar players running up and down G Mixolydian scale. Let's first start with the chords. So here are some chord forms I would be using to accompany G9, G7, G9, G7. It's bar chord. Analyze, we have a root note, fifth, this note. That's one step below the root note, but it's a whole step apart. We call this a minor seventh then. Not only the 7th degree from Mixolydian scale, it's a minor 7th because it's actually associated with most minor scales like Aeolian and Dorian. If you continue, this is actually the major third from the G. Really weird, right? It takes something from the major world and it takes something from the minor world. That's why everything works over dominant chords.
Are you serious?
So many choices, but the lesson title is of course beyond Mixolydian. So let's deliberately choose to play a G Mixolydian scale over our dominant chords. That's the choice of most fusion players anyway. So here we go. That scale has the same notes as an Aeolian scale, just be next to it. Here we go. Aeolian, 3 note per string. I don't like 3 note per string scales because they move you too much out of position, breaking the connection with all our beautiful arpeggio shapes. So I'm transforming that, meaning, simple rule is that every time I come across a fingering with, here's a fret in between and here's a fret in between, so 2 frets in between, in total fingering of 3 notes per string, I'm gonna swap out that last note to the same note on the next string. So it becomes, that little trick alone will correct the shape into a vertical shape. Here we go. Let's take you one step further. If you start from that note in the Aeolian scale, we get an actually D Dorian scale. Why am I telling you this? Any guitar teacher could tell you this. This is just scales that are related to each other, meaning they have the same notes. This is so basic, but I did work myself up to making the connection to the related Dorian because of a very important reason and an insight I want to give you. If we look at the most important notes of a G Mixolydian scale, or even the chord, it's exactly that minor 7 note and that major third. Those two notes give the exact Mixolydian sound. They define the Mixolydian sound. But if we look at this from the eyes or the perspective of D Dorian, you'll notice that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, the 6th degree of a Dorian, which is really cool. In a Dorian backing track, the 6th degree of a Dorian scale would be awesome because that's the note that defines a Dorian scale. Well, it happens to be the 3rd degree, which is always the most important note in any chord anyway of the G Mixolydian. Secondly, that minor 7th of the G7 chord, that's actually the 3rd of the Dorian scale, D Dorian. 1, 2, 3. What does that all mean? That means that you can use your entire D Dorian vocabulary, your minor, your D Dorian vocabulary over a G7 backing track, and it will sound amazing because the most important notes of both scales are the same. They just fulfill different functions in their own worlds, but they're the same. Dorian licks will work fantastic in a related Mixolydian lick. And that's exactly how Greg thinks. If you do some research on the introspection album of Greg Howe, you'll notice long stretches of dominant chords where Greg is actually playing related Dorian vocabulary. That's why it works so well. So next step, of course, is why not use the D minor 7 arpeggio shape for inspiration. That one, my 5R shape, that's why you should grab my free arpeggio guide description below in that Fusion starter kit so you know those shapes. That's wonderful. And if you look at that shape, I've indicated the intervals of that arpeggio against thinking about the Dorian world, which is cool, but we're actually playing over that backing track you heard, which is a G7, a G dominant. So let's relate all the notes of that D Dorian arpeggio against a G7 chord or a G Mixolydian scale. Get a total different picture. So we have then, this becomes the 5th of the G, this becomes the minor 7th, this becomes the 9th. That's a wonderful sound in itself. Anyway, that's a wonderful sound already in itself. And then we have the 4th. So actually you're getting a G9 arpeggio. I'm actually going to call it a G9 sus because right, we want to drop from that 4th to that 3rd degree. We are going to use that wonderful D minor 7 arpeggio shape just next to the home position of G Mixolydian to draw inspiration from. So our first simple idea, it's really cool, right? It accents that 3rd or that major 6th in the Dorian world. Through Greg Howe, and you definitely know that sound. To idea number 2, still using the D minor 7 5R shape. Really cool what happens in the middle. Really big in the parallax days. Here's another one. Right. Learn that one. It's quintessential to Greg's wonderful vocabulary. Answer a question I get a lot. My sound here is through this Boss E-Band GS10. Cannot tell you enough good things about this machine. A little practice amp with backing tracks you can record yourself. If you want to support the channel a little bit, I'm leaving a link below. It's an affiliate link. It does not cost you anything more. It's just helping the channel a little bit. If you would investigate and order it at Thomann, which is the largest European music retailer. Right, moving on to idea number 5. It's cool because we end. It's a cool note. When it would be a Dorian world, it's very cool against the G7 because it's the major 3rd. Just to prove you how fusion and jazz players think we see that D minor 7 shape where we started from, but then we start modifying it at the way we want actually. So we can also introduce a lot of chromaticism to that shape, up till a point I would say we won't even recognize the shape anymore, but that's how weird fusion and jazz players are. Here's a wonderful pathway. Again, ending on that G7 major 3rd or that Dorian major 6th. Now put on a dominant backing track and start using these pathways. Try to come up with your own ideas and just know it's gonna work perfectly over any static dominant chord. Also work over a standard blues, because blues progressions, blues backing tracks are just a bunch of dominant chords all together. Blues, let's say in D. I would typically go a little bit more sophisticated on the 4 chord, which is a G7, which is coming up now. Right, we have a longer stretch now of a D7. Oh, I would just go now, right? for example, right? Or I could use, right? If you love this lesson, you are going to love this lesson, where I'm coming up with a lot of more wonderful dominant arpeggio shapes in a blues context. Thanks for watching.